My dad has been married to Anne for 8 years now. I'm a teen female and my stepsister, Anne's daughter, is 1 year younger. Anne's daughter is autistic and she struggles a lot socially. For the most part, her issues stem from not knowing when she's being taken advantage of or bullied until it gets more serious, and then she has some horrible episodes that come from being treated that way. So when my dad first married Anne, they told me it was now my job to look out for her and be a good big sister, and they really put me to the test. They made me spend time with her at school even though we were a grade apart, and I was used to having time with my friends for lunch. Then they would make me supervise her if she wanted to play with kids in the neighborhood or park. She liked playing with younger kids until the global issue stopped that for a while. I'd have to follow her out all the time. I resent the role I have to play in her life. I never wanted to be someone's keeper, which I don't enjoy. Several weeks ago, Dad and Anne announced we would attend this Christian summer camp, and that Anne's daughter wanted to go. We're doing the day part, but there are day and sleepaway parts. Anne is very religious, and Dad became religious after he married Anne. When my mom was alive and married, he was an atheist. I'm like my mom and the old hymn that way. Anne has always been judgmental in my experience, and as someone with a trans best friend and friends who are not straight, I've seen the crap Anne's church has said about LGBTQIA+ people. I also don't want to be stuck taking care of Anne's daughter for 6 weeks this summer. So I emailed the pastor over the camp and made it pretty clear where I stood on the issue and that I would make sure I talked about not believing in God and would openly discuss LGBTQIA+ issues throughout the camp. Seems like this worked because Anne got a call the next day and they said they could no longer accept me as I'm not a member of their church. I was never baptized and have refused to be. It took about a week for her and my dad to figure out I had a part to play in it. They asked how I could be so selfish and how I could abandon my sister like that. That she could end up being treated terribly there and she'll have nobody looking out for her. I told them it was not my job to do that. It's been over a week now and they're still angry, and the camp starts soon-ish, and they're only growing angrier the closer it gets. I expected it somewhat, but they really believe what I did was crappy. Dad said Mom would be ashamed of me, and I told him she'd be ashamed of him trying to pawn off parenting onto me, and she would never have been okay with any of this. He told me I was being cruel. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You are not a parent, and it's not your role in life to do that. The fact you had to engineer a way out rather than be able to say, I'm not her parent, is what hurts most here. There's nothing wrong with them asking you to help them on occasion. This isn't that, though. They're making you her babysitter, which isn't cool. Make it clear you're a kid and will not accept guardian responsibility. Also, stop hanging out with her at school, especially at lunch. You need to have time with your own friends. I'm used to it now. I remember having to cancel plans before because my dad and Anne were going someplace and hiring a babysitter. They didn't trust the sitter to watch Anne's daughter, so I had to cancel the plans I'd established before my dad and Anne had theirs. Or my dad picked me up early from a friend's house because I needed to supervise Anne's daughter with kids. My dear, never get used to it. You're being used as a second parent and that is not okay. I'm so sorry you're in this situation. If you can, talk to another family member or your school counsellor. Also, as a last resort, you can report them to CPS. This sort of expected dependency will screw up your future come exam season, and that is totally unacceptable. On top of that, you didn't lie. You are not a church member and have no desire to participate in that camp or their beliefs. Yeah, the fact they think their special needs daughter would be treated horribly at a Christian summer camp pretty much sums up my thoughts. Can they find an alternative day camp that she can go to for people with special needs? The poor stepsister has no fault, but it's OP's stepmother and father's job to find suitable accommodation and provide care. I hope OP can live independently ASAP. My wife and I have been married for about 10 years. Over that time, we've been to over a dozen weddings of our respective friends and family. The invitations have always been addressed to both of us as a married couple. I've often gone to her friends' weddings where I only know 1 or 2 people, and she's been in the same situation with my friends' weddings. We've always made new acquaintances and had great times. Last month, she received a wedding invitation from an old high school friend. The problem is that it was addressed to only her and didn't mention me or a +1. This friend knows we're married as they attended our wedding. We thought this was an oversight, so she called her friends and was told that they had a huge list of people and had to cut it down, and I didn't make the cut. I've never heard of one married partner being invited to a wedding without the other. I asked my large group of friends and family. No one had ever heard of such a thing. The other part that makes me uncomfortable is that the wedding is in her home state, so she'll fly back there alone. Lastly, 3 of her exes will attend because they used to be part of the same friends group, 1 from high school and 2 from college. I know I'm sounding very possessive, but I promise I'm not. My wife sometimes goes out with her girlfriends and has even gone on a couple of girls-only vacations, and I've never had a problem before. However, I find this entire situation to be weird. Last night, as she was looking for her airline ticket, I told her I was uncomfortable with her going without me. She said I wouldn't have fun as I won't know anyone there and that she'll be busy catching up with old friends. Then suggested I return to that state and go fishing with her father, as he and I usually take a fishing trip together once a year. She shut that idea down immediately and said I should stay home and relax. I don't know if it was because I was already uneasy with the trip, but it felt like she didn't want me anywhere near the state. After some back and forth, I told her I was very uncomfortable with the entire thing, and that started a heated discussion where I ended it by telling her she shouldn't go, and that if she did, this would cause a deep rift between us. I've never said those words before, so I'm unsure if I'm an idiot. So, you don't want her to go to a wedding and see her friends because she dated some people there more than a decade ago. You don't even want her to be in a different state without you in the vicinity, but you're not being possessive. You are the idiot, but OP promised he's not possessive though. Sometimes she sees her friends, and even a girls' trip a couple of times, in 10 years of marriage. She sees her friends because he lets her. What a great guy. My eyes did roll out of my head. You've been married for 10 years and worried about her college and high school exes? Sounds like you don't trust your wife. Your wife is an adult and can do things without you. She can travel without you. She doesn't need to revolve her life around your insecurities. Your trust issues will cause a deep rift between you, and I recommend you deal with them before you push your wife away. I disagree. The red flag in this scenario is her absolute reluctance to you going with her at all. Stay home and relax instead of fishing with her dad? Why? Why did she shut that down so quickly when it's an activity you do with her dad annually? How long will she be gone? Why is she so insistent you don't go at all? If the friend getting married attended your wedding and you have an existing friendship with them, why is the spouse being cut from the invite list? Yes, some of your actions and comments make you seem possessive, but after 10 years of marriage, her behavior is a bit suspect. This wedding also costs you and your wife money. Plane ticket, lodging unless she's staying with her family, likely dinners out. I'm assuming shared finances here, of course. If my husband were to be solo invited to a wedding, he would RSVP a hard no. You are not the idiot. I, 20 male, am currently a mechanical engineering student. The sophomore year has been tough, so I need healthy outlets of stress to get back in the game. And gaming has helped my mental health. So I'm looking forward to relaxing and a stress-free summer gaming with the boys. I've also been dating Lily, 20 female, for 2 years. Recently, she's been developing an interest in gaming, and she knows that I've been gaming with the same group of guys since high school, so she asked if she could join. I told her no unequivocally for 3 reasons. As I mentioned, gaming has been a great escape mechanism, and I like to compartmentalize my life. Gaming allowed me to be a better boyfriend and express parts of myself that I wouldn't be able to, so I'm not really comfortable mixing the 2 parts of my life. I prefer to keep my escape place intact. She's at a different skill level than the other guys, so games would get imbalanced. Also, I have a close friendship with the other guys, so we tend to rib each other and make guy jokes. I don't want her to become one of the guys and make our relationship be like we're bros or stand out as the odd one. Either way, just a bad mix. I told her these 3 reasons and she didn't take it well. She accused me of being controlling, which I didn't know what to say because this is my group of friends and a section of my life she's trying to invade and colonize. Controlling would be me saying, no, you can't play Call of Duty at all. I'm not controlling her at all. If anything, she's trying to control me. But after explaining that, we got into a huge fight. I'm just sitting here wishing I didn't open my big mouth and just say that we meet at times when she's at work. Edit. I'm a rage gamer. I tend to throw down my controller when I lose a match, punch my hands, or scream a bit. But in my personal life, I'm calm. I also trash talk a ton and receive a lot of trash talk, especially given that this is my group of friends, and there's nothing wrong with how we decompress. The girlfriend obviously has to be feminine and can't possibly throw a controller or take part in trash talking. You are the idiot. It sounds like you're just unwilling to let her join because you're afraid that you can't maintain whatever facade you've created to get your girlfriend. Guy talk is fine, but not if you're saying hateful or bigoted stuff. Part of a mature relationship is integrating them with your friends and family. If you're so different around your girlfriend and these guys, that's an issue on your end. Are you pretending to be something you're not? Are you just holding off on showing the real you until you think she's locked down? I basically read this as, gaming with my buddies allows me to rage, be toxic, and probably throw slurs around that I know are unacceptable. He knows exactly what he's doing is crappy, so he makes up some BS about how it allows him to be a better boyfriend. That kind of implies that if he wasn't throwing crap around at randoms online, he would be throwing crap at his girlfriend. Real classy, OP. Oh boy, he's just trying to hide his true personality, nothing else. It's not that he needs to decompress with his bros, it's how he acts that he doesn't want his girlfriend to see. He knows she'll dump him. Also, be honest, your guy jokes are about your girlfriends and other girls. My sister, 29, got married last Saturday. The ceremony was beautiful and I enjoyed myself as much as someone who is famously not a wedding guy could. Unfortunately, the dramatics were not quite as enjoyable. I, 27 male, hadn't seen my family in a few months, and we've only had a handful of phone calls over those months. It's never purposely that I pull one of these disappearing acts, it's primarily out of habit. I've been fiercely independent for most of my life. I get easily caught up in whatever I'm doing at the time, making it harder to remember to keep those not in my direct line of sight in the loop. My mother is the same way. It's also nice visiting around times when big events like this are going on, as my mom is prone to hovering whenever I'm at home, and this takes some of the spotlight off me. I'd been in Ireland for around 8 months prior to flying in last Thursday. I was originally there to spend 2 weeks with my best friend, who, thanks to my one-track mindset, I had unfortunately grown apart from within recent years. Her mood flipped by the time we met in person. The rehearsal dinner was on Friday when we all met up for the first time. My mom was overjoyed to see my partner and me. She spent a large part of the night telling stories that she'd always predicted something was different about my friendship with him compared to others I was close with in high school. It was a lovely moment, but at the end of the night, my sister pulled me aside and asked if we would not wear our wedding rings to her ceremony. I was confused, so I asked why. She said I was taking the attention off her and she was already bitter that I'd hijacked her rehearsal dinner. More families might take notice if I wore my ring tomorrow and caused a similar incident. I refused. As I mentioned before, the ceremony was beautiful. Still, she didn't speak to me for the rest of the weekend, and we ended up leaving the reception early. Am I the idiot? For a little clarification, my husband and I had been friends since we were 14. It wasn't that we hadn't seen each other for that long. We hadn't seen each other for about 3 months when I came to Ireland to visit him. I'd been married for 4 months. I emailed a select group of family members 2 weeks before the wedding. You are the idiot. Normally asking someone not to wear their wedding ring would be a crazy request, but I actually get where your sister is coming from. You seem remarkably self-centered and thoughtless of the impact of your actions and behavior on others. Can you not think that running off to Ireland, getting married to someone you haven't seen for 14 years, and then telling everyone 2 weeks beforehand, despite being married for 4 months, wouldn't steal her thunder? You had to know that handling things this way would detract from your sister's big day. Also, Jesus, how do you not think of notifying your mother, who you are supposedly close with, that you're getting married? Multiple phone calls over a few months and you didn't bring it up? Feels like there's something not being said here. The issue isn't with wearing the wedding ring, it's that OP waited until his sister's wedding was 2 weeks away to tell them. Yeah, 2 weeks sounds like even after the RSVP cutoff date, which is usually 3 or 4 weeks, so maybe not so innocent. Like, why didn't you say something when you sent in the RSVP? By the way, you have to give a 3-month notice of intention to marry at a civil office in Ireland before you can get that civil marriage ceremony done. So I wonder how whirlwind this whole elopement even was. LOL, I thought I was the only one thinking that. I was born and bred Irish but lived abroad for the last few years. I married another Irish citizen, born abroad in an EU country, and the paperwork was already a nightmare, never mind 2 Yanks. That's so wild. It really seems like you stole her thunder on purpose. At best, you are completely self-absorbed to the point where you can't even see that your choices affect other people too.